Hello, all you lovely people in internet land. Andrew AC Yoshimura from Game Life Balance Australia. Today I will be talking about Transformers. Now, I'm the first to admit that I am not the biggest Transformers fan. I never really watched the cartoon. I probably did a little bit growing up, but I had other favorites. I did like the toys, but didn't really have many. My cousin had this one, Soundwave, and it was always my favorite. I love the kinds of robots. I mean, cars, jets, that's cool, but the things that just turn into everyday household objects, like cassette tapes and players, I just think that's really cool. So today what I thought I'd do is I would actually compare these to their actual real-world counterparts. Now, first of all, this one is, of course, Soundwave. One of my favorite things that I didn't know about him as a kid was that he has like the battery clips where he keeps his spare weapons at the back. That's so cool. But here it's written a stereo microcassette recorder. So what we're kind of talking about here when we say microcassette is basically something like this, a dictaphone. Now, obviously these two things don't really look alike, but this one's from the 90s and this one's from the 80s. So I do actually have a more contemporary version, so let's have a look. We'll put you there. This is a Sony dictaphone from about 1986, so roughly about the same time. I think Soundwave may have been a bit earlier, I don't know, don't quote me on that. So get it out of the packaging here. Oh, it's in pretty good condition, other than the battery compartment. So this is what a microcassette player looks like. These were mostly used for dictation. Now, you'll notice, first of all, that this says stereo microcassette recorder. Now, although these do exist, they were very rare. Sony did make one. Unfortunately, for it to be stereo, the tapes had to be quite good quality, and even then, after you record on them, because they're smaller, they don't sound quite as good as an ordinary cassette, even if they are the metal type, which are the better type. Alright, so there was, this colour here is kind of similar to the original Walkman colour, and Sony did release a stereo Walkman of the same color that was a micro cassette recorder, but it did not look anything like this, unfortunately. This is more akin to just like an ordinary kind of tape player or a ghetto blaster or something like that. I think they used to call them back in the 80s. I do know that's what we called them. So it's kind of a little bit apocryphal, but that's okay because this looks cool. This does not look cool. So I can see why they go with this. It's just interesting to see that they actually called this a microcassette recorder, and a stereo one at that. So maybe they were being influenced by something. They did exist, but they were so rare and so niche that I'm not sure whether, even in Japan where these things were manufactured and probably created in the first place, whether they actually had the equivalent or not. So let's have a look at, in case you're wondering as well, the eject button goes like this, the battery compartment. This was actually a pretty good model back in the 1980s. So in terms of size, Soundwave is much thicker, whereas our dictaphone is much longer, and that's by design. It's got a pretty big speaker in there so it can play back. This is not meant for music. I need to tell you that straight away. This looks like it's meant for music. This, not meant for music. This is just a mono device that will record people so you can play it back later. Journalists and secretaries used to use these a lot. Bosses, when they wanted to keep thoughts down, they'd pass it on and people would do notes for them. Okay. So the good thing about this one is that, of course, it transforms, doesn't work as a tape player, although I do love the mechanism and the fact that it came with, I think his name is Buzzsaw, the orange one that looks like Laserbreak. And you know, you've got some of the details, I think you can see that very well, there we go, on the inside as well. So I think the attention to detail there is pretty cool. And of course this one doesn't transform, it just does this. And that's about it. In fact, this does have one kind of cool feature. It's got VOR, which basically means it won't start recording until you start talking. and it obviously records pitch at a kind of a normal human voice level. When recording music, it kind of stops and starts a little bit, like it doesn't really know what to record and what not to record. So once again, hopeless music player. Now onto the main event, what I like to think is the main event anyway. I have got in the packet, although opened, an original 1980s Microcassette. That's right, an original Sony one. There you go, it's a Sony, all that kind of stuff there. It's the last one in the box. It has been opened before. And I'm going to compare it to Laserbreak. All right, these are the two kind of most similar ones here. So let's open it up and have a look. First of all, this one comes in a neat little case. There we go, pop that out. And there we have it, a genuine Sony microcassette recorder, 60 minutes. Whether that's 60 minutes aside or 60 minutes for both, I'm not sure. It's probably 30 minutes aside, just looking at the real tape in there, although this can record at different speeds. All right, now let's have a look at Laserbreak. And right away, I'll tell you what, they look pretty damn similar. Very, very similar in size. In fact, when you go like this, there is probably only a 0.5 mil on Laserbreak that is slightly longer. In terms of thickness, pretty much even. Very, very even there. Interesting. All right, so they got the dimensions of the microcassette right, which is kind of fascinating. Almost off the bat, really. And it's got the same markings. It's got, you'll notice, side A up the top, side A up the top. So it's obviously meant to look the same way this way, and it's got obviously the cool heat sticker there. I used to love those things so much. And you can even see the reel pictured on the inside, quote unquote, on Laserbreak as well. So it's pretty much, very much looking like a genuine article, aside from, of course, the transforming sections. Of course, the back's going to look different because, you know, it's a transformer and it's got to look cool. The back on this one is basically, it is what it is, the back. Now, the only thing that really, the biggest difference here is the reel size. The reels on a real microcassette are much bigger than the ones on Laserbreak here, and they all of the tape transformers follow pretty much the same design with the same shape. I've got Frenzy here, and yeah, same width of the inside of the reel there. Okay, so let's do a couple more tests. Can this fit in here? Well, yes, the Sony cassette fits in Soundwave. That's pretty cool. In case you're wondering, this isn't an original. This is one of the re-releases that I got. I'm not a big fan of Transformers, like in terms of the cartoon or anything like that, although I've seen a bit of it, as I said before. But since I love this one, I did import it. It's one of the re-releases. You'll notice that it has a, if you're particularly keen-eyed and a collector, it's got one of those heat stickers here as well. For Decepticon. It had just a Decepticon foil sticker there before, not one of the heat ones, and I swapped it out just because I really, here we go. I just really love these stickers. I just think they're awesome. I wonder what they're actually called. I should probably look that up. Anyway, there you go. Now, the ultimate test. Does Laserbreak fit inside an actual dictaphone, micro stereo cassette recorder player? Okay, let's have a look. He does fit. You need to kind of jam him in there, poor little bastard. Oh, okay, there we go. He's in, but it won't close. And that is because, as I mentioned before, the reels are too small. The circumference of the reels are too small, so it won't fit over the reel head, and the head's in there as well. So even if you could fit in there, as soon as you press play, the head comes down and it will interfere with the top of this anyway, which obviously has no magnetic tape in it. So there you go. That is the Transformers Soundwave and Laserbreak. Basically just, you know, compared to their real-world counterparts. I love these things. These are awesome. Thank you very much for watching. How fast can I transform this little bloke? There we go. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. Is that how he sounded like? I don't know. I will kill you. Ah!